Humans have used these three plants for gut health for 8,000 years. Your probiotic contains one of them. The other two grow free in your backyard right now. Nobody sold them to you because nobody could patent them. Today, I'm going to show you all three, how to grow them yourself, and why you are only hearing this now.
$12 billion a year. That is the size of the probiotic industry. I have 3 bottles on my counter right now. The shelf at your CVS has 30, all of them making the same promise. Add good bacteria to your gut, and everything gets better. Here is what the research actually found. A 2018 study from the Weizmann Institute, published in Cell, gave healthy adults a standard 11-strain commercial probiotic for 4 weeks. Then they looked inside the gut, not stool samples, direct mucosal biopsies. What they found was that in a significant number of participants, the bacteria never took hold at all. The gut wall rejected the strains. They passed through and left the body. For those people, 4 weeks of daily probiotics produced no lasting colonization whatsoever. $12 billion a year. And in many people, the bacteria just pass through. But the colonization failure is not even the most important part of this story. The more important part is what probiotics are actually trying to do and why they are solving the wrong problem. Your gut is already home to trillions of bacteria, mostly the same strains sitting in that bottle. The difference between theirs and yours is that yours have lived in your gut for years. They know the terrain, they have established relationships with your gut wall, and they are not going anywhere. Sending in commercial strains alongside them is a bit like hiring strangers to do a job your family already does, except the strangers may not even speak the language. What your existing bacteria actually need is fuel. The fiber they ferment to produce energy, repair the gut lining, and regulate inflammation. That fiber is called inulin. And when you look at the second ingredient on that Culturelle bottle, inulin, chicory root extract in parentheses, you are looking at the one piece of a 3-part system that they figured out how to extract, standardize, and sell. The plant costs them pennies per serving. The branding costs you $28 a month. Probiotics send in strangers. These plants feed the family that already lives there. The reason chicory root ended up on that label and not the other 2 plants comes down to agricultural infrastructure, not science. Belgium and the Netherlands had been growing chicory at commercial scale since the 1800s as a coffee substitute. The processing facilities, the supply chain, the extraction equipment all existed before the supplement industry arrived. Dandelion and Jerusalem artichoke had none of that. So chicory became the ingredient, and the other 2 became invisible. Not because they work less well, because nobody had a warehouse full of them. Here is what each plant actually does, and why removing any one of the 3 leaves the system incomplete. Dandelion root. This is the one you have been spraying every spring. It contains inulin, same as the Culturelle label, but that is almost secondary to its other role. Dandelion root contains bitter compounds, sesquiterpene lactones, primarily taraxacin, that European herbal medicine has used for centuries as a digestive primer. The German Commission E, Europe's clinical authority on plant medicine, officially recognizes dandelion root for supporting digestive function. You take it first, before the other 2. It wakes up the digestive environment, so the inulin that follows actually lands somewhere ready to receive it. Without this step, some people take chicory-based prebiotics for months and notice nothing. The gate was never opened. Meanwhile, the weed killer companies and the supplement companies were both collecting money from the same person, you, while the plant that could have started the whole process sat in your lawn, getting sprayed twice a year. Chicory root. This is the one on the label. At fall harvest, after the first frost has pulled the plant's energy down into the root, chicory can reach up to 68% inulin by dry weight, the highest concentration of any common plant. Clinical trials have used 10 to 15 grams of chicory-derived inulin daily as the therapeutic dose, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of cold-processed chicory root powder delivers exactly that range. The supplement industry runs it through an industrial extraction process, standardizes the concentration, and sells it back at a $30 markup. The math is not complicated. The sourcing decision was made for their supply chain, not for your health. Jerusalem artichoke. This is the one nobody talks about. And the research suggests it may be doing something the other two cannot. A 2007 randomized controlled trial in the British Journal of Nutrition confirmed that chicory inulin and Jerusalem artichoke inulin have measurably different chain length profiles. Chicory is predominantly long chain. Jerusalem artichoke contains both short and long chains. Short chain fructans ferment earlier in the colon, in the proximal section. Long chain fructans travel further. Chicory feeds bacteria in one region well. Jerusalem artichoke feeds bacteria across a broader range. Together, they cover ground that neither covers alone. The practical side is almost absurd. You plant the tuber once, the same way you plant potatoes, and the plant comes back every year without any help from you. More aggressively each season. 6 to 8 pounds of tubers per plant at peak fall harvest. No watering, no fertilizing, no tending required. Leave it alone and it feeds you indefinitely. The entire cost is one packet of tubers, about $15 at any seed supplier, and then it is yours forever. That is not a product. That is a garden. And a garden does not have a subscription model. 1 plant in the bottle. 3 plants in your backyard. The bottle sold you a piece. You now have the system. If you have spent money on probiotics in the last 12 months, hit like right now. Because what comes next is the part the industry spent a very long time making sure you would never connect. To understand why you have never heard about all 3 of these plants together, you need 3 dates. Not theories, dates. Documented decisions with documented consequences. 1910. The Flexner Report is published, funded by Carnegie, and implemented with Rockefeller money. It evaluates every medical school in America against a single standard: pharmaceutical-based, laboratory-driven medicine. Botanical medicine, plant treatments that had been the clinical norm for centuries, is classified as irregular. Not dangerous, not disproven. Irregular. The accreditation changes that follow close more than half of all U.S. medical schools within 15 years, and the botanical medicine curriculum goes with them. The doctors who knew how to use these plants retired. The schools that trained their replacements no longer taught it. Within a generation, the institutional knowledge was gone, not suppressed, just starved of the infrastructure that kept it alive. 1938. The Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act passes, requiring clinical trial data for any health claim. Legitimate protection. It came directly after a disaster that killed over 100 people. But the unintended effect on plant medicine is severe. Clinical trials require funding. Funding comes from companies who can recoup the investment through proprietary products. Dandelion root has 3,000 years of documented use for digestive health across Chinese, Arab, and European medicine. That history counts for nothing under the new standard. You need a funded trial, and nobody was going to fund a trial on a plant their competitors could grow in a field for free. 1994. The Dietary Supplement. Health and Education Act creates a new commercial opening. A company can now extract inulin from chicory root, run it through a proprietary standardization process, and market it freely as a gut health supplement. The chicory plant itself still cannot make a health claim on a label, but the processed extract can. So the extract becomes the product. The plant becomes the raw material, and the 2 other plants in the system never make it onto a label at all because there is no extraction process to protect, no supply chain to control, and no subscription to sell. The supplement industry did not suppress dandelion and Jerusalem artichoke. It simply built a business around the one piece of the system it could own. And the other 2 stayed in the yard, unrecognized, while $12 billion a year flowed toward the incomplete version. 3 dates, 3 decisions. By the time the supplement industry arrived, The doctors who remembered the full system were gone, the schools that taught it were closed, and the only people still growing these plants were farmers and gardeners who had never stopped. Nobody was left to push back. Two things I want to correct before you go near any of these plants. Both of them appear in nearly every herbalism guide ever written, and both of them are wrong. First, do not make tea. Every guide tells you to boil dandelion root, steep it hot, drink it as a tea. Research published in European Food Research and Technology confirms that inulin chains break down under heat processing. Boiling water runs at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, well above the threshold where that degradation accelerates meaningfully. What you end up drinking is a warm mineral broth with some dandelion flavor. Not harmful. But the prebiotic fiber you were trying to consume has already been destroyed before it reaches your colon. Cold process only. I will show you exactly how. Second, dandelion goes first. The sequence matters, and I want to be straight with you about what is proven and what is my own reasoning. What the evidence confirms is what each plant does individually. Dandelion's bitter compounds have been recognized by European herbal medicine for centuries as digestive primers, and the logic of taking it before the inulin-heavy plants follows directly from that. The specific 10-minute timing has not been tested in a published clinical trial. That is my protocol, built from the individual plant evidence. I am telling you what is documented and what is my interpretation of it, so you can decide how to use it yourself. Here is the full protocol. Every dose is based on published clinical research. The sources and citations are in the companion guide linked in the description, so you can verify every number yourself. Cold process. Same method for all three. Harvest the roots and do not peel them. The outer layer holds the highest concentration. Slice thin, 1/4 inch maximum. Into the dehydrator at 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Herb setting, 8 to 12 hours. You want the slices snapping clean when you bend them, not bending. Grind to a fine powder in a dedicated coffee grinder. Sift through fine mesh. Store in 3 separate sealed glass jars away from direct light. 3 jars, 1 per plant. Do not mix them in advance. The morning sequence. Dandelion root goes first. Start with half a teaspoon, about 1.5 grams, for the first 2 weeks. Then move up to 1 teaspoon, or 3 to 4 grams. Take it 10 minutes before the other 2. Chicory root goes next. Start with half a tablespoon, 4 to 5 grams, for the first 2 weeks. Then move up to 1 to 2 tablespoons, 8 to 12 grams. 10 minutes after the dandelion. Jerusalem artichoke at the same time as chicory. Start with half a tablespoon, 2 to 3 grams, for the first 2 weeks. Then 1 tablespoon, 5 to 7 grams. Stir all 3 into cold water or room temperature yogurt, never hot liquid. Dandelion first, then chicory and Jerusalem artichoke together 10 minutes later. The first 2 weeks will bring some bloating as your gut bacteria adjust to a new fuel source. That is fermentation working, not something going wrong. It settles. The bacterial growth continues long after the bloating stops. Total daily cost from your own garden, pennies, against $28 to $50 a month for 1 plant, 1 compound, and bacteria that a published clinical study showed may not even make it past your gut wall. The supplement industry did not invent inulin. They found a compound that humans had been using for 8,000 years, figured out how to extract one version of it from one plant, built a supply chain around that plant, and sold the result as a complete gut health solution. The other 2 plants in the system, the ones without a commercial extraction infrastructure behind them, stayed in the yard. Invisible, unmarketed, still growing. You now know what all 3 are, what each one contributes that the others cannot, and exactly how to prepare and use them. That knowledge closed a gap that $12 billion a year has been quietly profiting from. Stop spraying the dandelion. It is not a weed. It is the first step in a system that predates the supplement industry by 8,000 years. Grow the chicory, the plant on their label. Plant the Jerusalem artichoke once and let it do what it does best, which is come back every single year, whether you tend it or not. Dry everything cold. Use all 3 in sequence. That is a protocol the supplement industry cannot put in a capsule, cannot standardize, and cannot charge you for. It requires a garden and about 15 minutes on a fall morning. Nothing more. The companion guide is linked in the description. Where to source all 3 plants, growing and care instructions broken down by hardiness zone from zone 3 to zone 10, and the full dosage protocol with every clinical citation so you can verify every number yourself. Free, always. The next video covers 9 plants that scientists have linked to slowing cellular aging, the same mechanism a Nobel Prize was awarded for in 2015. Every one of them grows in a backyard. None of them are in any supplement your doctor has ever recommended. I have already filmed it. It is waiting for you. Subscribe